I guess I could take that song Joy Spring and talk about improvising on it a little bit. So, coming out of the last chorus. And then a lot of times, right at that point, the band will break and you have like 2 bars to lead into your solo, or 1 bar. So you do some little riff like that with some chromaticism in there to bring it in. All right, start like that. Or maybe start it a little more simply. Something like that. So I've realized that in my solos, I don't use the whole tone scale very much. So here's a good place to use it. You do like a 1-6-2-5, and you're back to F. And here's kind of like a B7th going to B flat minor. So that's a good place to use the whole tone scale, actually. It sounds good there. So you don't have much time. I mean, you're only going to get about 4 notes of the scale there. But if you use the right ones, it sounds very whole tone-ish, okay? So. And there, you're doing the B flat minor to E flat. That's the subdominant, and whatever. All right, so in any key, you should know how to do the subdominant to the flat 7, like that. That's a typical jazz type progression there. And then it's just a 3-6-2-5-1. All right, that's a cool way to do a 3-6-2-5-1 if you've never done it that way. All right, so that could be D altered, or it could be A flat unaltered. Tritone substitution. When you're just playing this, you really don't know. It's up to the bass player to make that determination. But so look, A flat could go to D flat major 7th, which looks like you were in the key of F, right? So it looks like an F minor 7th. But you could think of it as D flat major 7th. So this is a cool turnaround. And then right away, go to the G flat 2-5-1. And spend 3 hours working on this next 8 bars, because you're in the key of G flat here. And let me tell you, we all suck in this key. It's just a fact of life. All right, that's going to be my chords. See, F sharp major, or G flat major 7th, G flat 6th, then E flat minor 7th, same chord, right? Then A flat root position, right? My simple way of doing a 2-5-1, like that. And then I'm going to throw that in. That's my whole tone scale part there, kind of. And then B minor to E. Right. Bitch, what a bitch. So notice I jump really quickly to the next 2-5-1. I almost anticipate it, right? So coming around like. Yeah, a couple notes before the actual chord change comes. Now here you could the melody kind of is based on it's kind of based on beats of 3, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So when you're improvising, you can kind of do something with that too. This microphone, I'm going to blame it on the microphone. It's in my way. you might notice I'm trying to play like one long line through this whole thing. Well, I'm not doing too well at it right now at the moment because I don't practice enough. But this concept was brought to my attention years ago when I was working on a cruise ship with a guy. Just for a few weeks, I had the pleasure of meeting a guy named George Whitty. And, years later, I hadn't heard of, we left the cruise ship back in 1989 or something like that. And, for 30 years, I never knew what happened to him or anything. Then the internet comes out, and all of a sudden I find George Whitty. Christ almighty, he's played with the Brecker Brothers. He's done albums for Chaka Khan. He's written great orchestral scores. Now he's doing like videos like I'm doing for some company or something, but hopefully he doesn't need the money because he's just brilliant. He's a great musician. And just look him up, George Whitty, Whitty, I think. Plays some great stuff. But, he said, the hardest thing to do is just keep one line going. If you can do that, then you can break it up into phrases later on. But the idea is not to get stuck. And he's got some interesting methods. I think he still kind of uses that concept a little bit. Like, for instance, the diminished scale, being an 8-note scale, kind of keeps you, in the right place, and I don't know, let him explain it to you. But anyway, that's what I'm trying to do here, trying to play one line through the whole B section, or I guess this is the C section. It's the third part of the song. So it's all right, so I made it through at that tempo. And that's kind of good practice to try to keep one long line going. That way you can play a long line when you want to. But of course, you want to kind of, one way to learn how to break lines like that up into phrases is to kind of sing them along. And Keith Jarrett does this, and Oscar does it, and Errol Garner does this. You just kind of sing along with what you're doing, and then whenever you take a breath, you need to take a breath once in a while. That creates your individual phrases. So here we go. And also just singing just helps you get your natural, musical instincts out of your body and into the piano. All right.